Hi there, it's Kevin with Gone Rogue Games. Here, after hours at the store, we finally kicked out all the Commander players. And so instead of doing like a market video or unboxing stuff or talking about shipping orders or the business aspect of the store, I think I'm just going to show you what I'm kind of into. So, as you know, Talmadge, this guy here, moved back and started to get back into gaming. So there's Zach. He's probably trying, like, laughing at me, but he's gonna skitter off because he's shy. He's not shy of the camera. And Chloe back there, probably begging for food soon. But yeah, so instead of talking about the shop, let's talk about the whole reason behind owning a shop. So a little of my history. The whole reason I decided to choose this career is I've always enjoyed gaming, and I have to admit, I'll be the first one to admit that once you own a store and have the complications and just kind of the stress of opening up a game store, oftentimes you get burnt out with games and sometimes you don't want to look at them. And I think the past few years, that did lead to kind of a tipping point where I was just really hammered down and focused on the business end and didn't really play as much Magic as used to. But the history of where I even started these YouTube channels, it all goes back to enjoying the game and loving the game. So I've been having a lot of fun with not just Magic, with gaming in general. So I think that's all I'll do today for this video. Instead of talk about the shop or business or prices or whatever, is I'm just going to kind of show you what we've been doing here, kind of behind the scenes, just the enjoyable aspects. So one of my little pet peeves when I look at some of these YouTubers that talk about owning a store, it's like, everyone thinks it's going to be all, rainbows and unicorns and you're able to play every game. You're going to be able to have like, you're always at the store anyway, so why don't you just start a store and you're going to play Commander all day or whatever, that whole aspect. It's like, yeah, of course you have work to do and you have to run a business, but I don't know why you wouldn't want to play games or enjoy kind of the fruits of your labor of having a store. And that is one of the most rewarding parts of owning a game store is, again, facilitating games, playing games, being involved in that. And it actually, I think, is worthwhile financially to kind of have that attitude, because now I can tell you my productivity, my sales, everything does seem to go a lot better when my heart is in it. When my heart is not in it and I'm complaining and I hate Magic and I hate games and I'm sick of dealing with nerds and blah, blah, blah. And I wish I'd be digging ditches or something other than this job where you're like, sorting cards, and you look at stars, you don't enjoy opening packs anymore. Like, I think that productivity and sales and everything like that actually is affected by the kind of positive attitude, especially if it's something you enjoy doing. Yeah, let you look at my YouTube channels for like Rogue Deck Builder, absolutely. When I enjoyed building decks and playing Magic the Gathering, that was the golden years of that channel. When I tried to just push through motions because now it was my job, yeah, it really began to suffer. So anyway, what are we gonna do, Talmadge? I think we're gonna actually play one of our favorite formats in Magic the Gathering, called League, and what we do here to try to incentivize that is we, excuse our randomness here. Got some cashews that are sitting next to my P.O. box office with my pile of cards here that I'm gonna show here in a second, though. But anyway, it's not just Magic that I'm really into right now. We've been playing, actually, dabbling back into games like Flesh and Blood. I still need to teach Talmadge Star Wars Unlimited, and and Lorcana. I haven't played Lorcana for a while, but we do plan on doing that. But we're having fun with Pokemon here. So Talmadge and I just built the Steven and Marnie decks and upgraded them. Actually, they weren't hard to upgrade. They're just incredibly inexpensive cards, which is actually kind of cool. You can take a starter deck from Pokemon and have a tier deck with really no added cost, which is a lot different from something like Magic. So, and we've been really enjoying One Piece. So yeah, we'll have to showcase what we've been working on with Pokemon. We're going to start trying to do competitive Pokemon on Saturdays. I'll bring back Flesh and Blood for Thursdays. And also, hopefully, I'm really trying to revive other things in Commander in this area. So our store was packed today for Commander. Maybe I'll show the Commander nights again. It gets kind of crazy in there with how loud it is and whatnot. So I kind of bow to that environment. But yeah, Standard is actually going pretty well here. We fired Standard for the past like 4 or 5 weeks, and it's been like years since we were able to get consistent Standard players. Hopefully we can transition Standard players eventually into Modern and Pioneer. And so again, things are on the up and up. So I don't know how overall the scene is globally, if stores are starting to see a revitalization of people actually playing. I know we did go through some lulls of, I really do think that Lord of the Rings Era 2 is a lot more people collecting and just gambling than it was actually playing the game. And Wizards too. Wizards was dismal for a while with even really trying to do anything with organized play as far as like pro tours and worlds and regionals and that thing. And I think they've stepped their game up with that. And hopefully, you know, we'll see that. Shadow where shadows due though. We did, if you've logged on Arena, this is the first set they've given you packs for every pre-release event you attended. So we logged an Arena account, so I was surprised to see so many Final Fantasy packs just that since we played in it. So that's going to give some incentivization for people to play at their local game stores again. So anyway, let me put this ice cream back in the freezer before it melts, and then we will head off to the game room. And I am just going to show you and talk about League, which is one of my favorite ways to play Magic because at the heart of things, I'm still a limited player. I love limited. I wasn't too impressed with Final Fantasy as far as the sealed environment was concerned, but I think that League is going to be fun. So one of my problems I have with especially sealed and sometimes draft to a minor extent is it doesn't feel like you get enough games out of the cards you pulled, and sometimes you get really, like you'll see in this pre-release that I opened. So what League is you keep your pre-release pack and then you build onto it each week. So every week you get to add a pack, and then every time you lose 3 games, you're also able to add a pack. And why I love League is it keeps the skill level versus your card pool quite even. So if you're losing a lot of games, then you'll have a lot more cards to work with, and that kind of evens the playing field. And then at the end of League, you typically have a pretty decent deck, and you've got a feel of the mechanics from the set. So yeah, I'm super impressed with a lot of mechanics of Final Fantasy, and I think that there's a lot of like synergies and combos and things. But unfortunately, in the pre-release just felt like it was the bomb format. Whoever could pull their bombs won the game. And synergies and the trying to create like creative decks and gameplay and trying to outplay your opponent was a minor thing. Like Tarkir, I thought was a lot more heavy on that, and you can either go back to like Aether Drift, that even seemed a lot more. But yeah, looking at some of these card pools, like this deck, for example, as I said, I'll show you, it's just missing some key components. I just got unlucky with some of the pulls of not being able to hit equipments when like literally every one of my cards works with equipments. But yeah, no equipments to actually make it worthwhile. So draft fixes that problem a little bit because you can draft specific cards to go with other cards you drafted. Sealed, you're just kind of at the whims of what you pull. But League is kind of a mix of both because you're going to be building up your card pool, and you're actually, if you did pull like a cool combination, but just didn't have the playables to make those color combinations work, well, eventually you'll be able to do that as your card pool increases. So yeah, I'm just going to come out here to the game room. We'll turn on some lights here, and we'll kind of maybe we'll sit down and probably not play a game, but I'll show where we're going. So we've had some very successful leagues in the past. Unfortunately, like I said, we both. I mean, I want to apologize, but at the same time not apologize, because I think that both Zach and I got extremely burned out with trying to beg people to play anything but Commander. And it just, at a certain point, you just kind of throw your hands up in the air and be like, you know what, I'm tired of, begging and pleading for people to play something. And Zach and I both we're more old school Magic. We like draft and limited, and standard's a lot more tolerable. I think the Magic is more beautiful with 1v1. I've always said if I'm going to play a multiplayer format, I'm going to play board games. I'm not going to play Commander. So anyway, this is the thing. Like we used to have a really successful league. Like we built this magnetic board. Zach printed off some 3D prints, magnets with our little pirate theme. We did the Pokeballs for the Pokemon League that were. A Pokemon League doesn't work out as well because the amount of packs you have to open up to actually get playables is absurd with Pokemon. But it was the same type of concept. You open up a build and battle and add on to it each week. But yeah, that was super weird. I think the last league we did, we ended up allowing people to trade commons just so people could get enough of like the evolutions if they actually opened up like a stage 2 they needed. And then you didn't have the evolutions to go with it. So that was kind of fun that way. But
that Pokemon League only worked because it was actually cheap.
Well, I mean, yeah, Pokemon League did work when it was cheap, when we were getting packs for like $1.30.
Normal.
Yeah, but now we're paying like, we'd have to charge customers like $6 a pack. Yeah, it's super expensive for that. But yeah, there's probably a way you can make it work, especially with like more of the repacking of Pokemon, because Pokemon is super cheap for bulk cards for sure. Like we said, when we were looking at upgrading our decks for Pokemon, it's, what is it, a tier deck was like $60. Yeah, it was, and that's like adding every card that you can actually get for basically nothing. So anyway, League, what we're doing this time is Final Fantasy. And where are you sitting, Tom? Are you sitting right there? All right, we'll go here. Did you ever see our beautiful Final Fantasy playmat, by the way?
Do I just play green?
Actually looks pretty cool. So I actually have a 6 foot mat if someone wants this. We didn't have we didn't have a use for the 6-foot. We have a use for the 8-foot mat. So I still have one of these available. It's the exact same art. They're expensive though. They're expensive to ship, and they're an expensive little play mats. I think it'll cost you around $80, possibly more to actually get this. So pretty cool mat though. Don't know if I like the Pokemon one better or that one. But anyway, yeah. So this is what we're gonna be doing, which is a great way if you do have a store. I highly encourage this because it's like the best of all worlds here. Because this allows, what I love about League is it like today I was kind of sickened. I know this is again a bad mentality to have, but we were cleaned out of collectors from Final Fantasy, and it was by people that were playing Commander. And it's like I think at this point you'd be smart enough if you're a player not to be gambling with collector boosters. And it kind of made, because these are the same people that are, you know, don't have the money now to upgrade their Commander decks. I'm like, geez, you guys could have like made some really cool Commanders with the money you just guys blew on collectors.
They all have like 20 to 40 commanders.
Yeah, but I mean, again, they're gonna. I've played with them. They have like these. They use these budget
decks.
They use like three cost mana rocks because they don't want to buy the 2 cost mana rocks because they spent all their money on collector boosters. Like I don't know. I don't understand the mentality of it. With I understand the people that come in and collect and have money, but it's like if you're on a budget, like collector boosters are the worst thing in the entire world. But anyway, going back to the shopper's perspective, League actually gets packs like moving. And especially in this day and age where play boosters are tough to actually sell, like Leagues are awesome because, and what this is the thing I love most about Leagues is it feels good to lose. Like it's the only format where it feels good to lose, and why it feels good to lose is because then you're closer to getting a pack to actually upgrade your deck. And that's the whole, like that's what actually makes Magic magical, and that's why I love Limited, and I kind of yearn for the days when I was a kid where I didn't have unlimited money to buy whatever cards I wanted to for my multi-$1,000 modern deck, where you open up a pack and got a land or else. That was like a huge upgrade to your deck, and you're so excited as a kid. League kind of gives you back that feeling because you're limiting yourself of what you can get per week to your card pool, and yeah, it gives you that kind of nostalgic feel, and it feels really good for players, for store owners, because it's a way to move through packs. So anyway, so this is I remember I think I went like 3-1 with this. Pre-release. Did I lose to you with this one, Talmadge? Of course I did, you dirty.
Because I got Kefka every game.
Oh, you got Kefka every single game. Anyway, this is kind of a weird pool. This is what I was trying to talk about with Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy, I enjoyed a lot of the mechanics, but man, talk about a common that feels like a rare. This Summon Chocomog. Oh my gosh, this card was insanely strong in the pre-release. But look at this nonsense. This is what's such a feel bad about League, or about Sealed, is like I'm not really even counting these equipments because these are equipments and they absolutely do work with equipments and creatures that want equipments. But the cards that I pulled that utilize equipments, they want them out a lot earlier than turn 5, and so it doesn't really count as like a equipment that goes in this deck. But I mean, if I show you the amount of cards, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had 5. I did get equipment there, which is pretty cool. 6. I did get another equipment there. Those were my 2 equipments that I actually pulled that actually made the deck actually work. And I think I won all the games where I actually did have a Coral Sword or Monk's Fist out. 6, 7, 8. I think there was 8 cards that worked with equipments from this pool, and just not enough equipments to actually support the theme. So as the pool will get actually bigger, I think this will be a fun deck to run. So anyway, hope everyone did enjoy their pre-release, and I highly encourage people to attend their local game stores and support their community. I mean, this is what it's all about. It's called The Gathering, and so you should be gathering. So anyway, League's a great way to do that as well. So the specifics of it is we reset the pack so you can play everyone once per week, and that resets on Friday. You don't have to show up at a given time. We officially do it before Standard on Friday, so we fire Standard a little bit later because some of our regulars work late, so I think we start Standard at like 7:30 or 8, and so before then, I think it's a good time to crack some packs and play some League. And basically, you find an opponent, you play your game, you write down your score. After you get your 3rd loss, you can open up a pack. We give out promos like we do for F&M, and you can actually use your promos with their Final Fantasy promos. I'm not sure if they did for this set, but in the past we've used them. So basically the whole feel of League is you'll get to play the entire mechanics of that set and really really flesh out the set, so it's you experience all those mechanics of what it has to offer. Kind of get the experience of like if you were a hardcore drafter, because you'll start to see all the combinations and stuff with League, with getting a kind of a big pool. So anyway, this is what I'm working with, which is a really, really good pool. Of course, the Smuggler's Copter. This is again one of my problems I had with Final Fantasy the set, is a lot of the power cards were actually reprints. They put a lot of high caliber reprints in this set, and it just kind of overshadowed some of the actual cards from this set. But there's a lot, like I said, a lot of things that actually do work with equipment. And I just opened up a pack, and I was tickled pink to actually open up this dude, which is the King of the Dwarfs, also works with equipment. So I've got a really good equipment thing going, but again, unfortunately, this pack did not have an equipment to work with, so I'm still a little bit low. Got another one of these. Is this Muldrotha? I've got a Muldrotha in here, which is kind of cool about League 2 is you can build multiple decks. So, and I actually did this in the pre-release too. So this one I ended up going like a Sultai ramp deck. So now that Muldrotha will go perfect in this one too, and it's the same sort of concept. You can play either deck. It's just about finding that opponent. You can play the same opponent once per week and resets, and then you can play them again the following week. And then again, this goes from set to set. So we'll play Final Fantasy until Edge of Eternities comes out, and then we'll do one for Edge of Eternities. This is also a great way to do what we call Commander League. We didn't do that with this particular one because product is hard to get for Final Fantasy at the moment with play boosters. But in other releases, what we do with Commander League is you open up an entire play booster and build a commander deck out of it. And same thing, every 3 losses, we do a different point system for it. You can add a pack, and then we actually allow people to expand, not just from Final Fantasy. You can start getting packs from all over the place. And then a lot of serious players will like start going to Commander Masters and Commander Legends and stuff like that, just to make sure they try to find and hit their soul rings and things. But it's kind of fun. You have like a very functioning commander deck by the end. So anyway, I am going to beat this nerd because revenge is coming for all the times he beat me in the pre-release. And yeah, so anything else you want to showcase here? I was going to showcase some One Piece, but maybe I'll do it for another day because I don't know where I put that deck. So,
I know where it's
but we're having fun with One Piece. I'm actually quite surprised with One Piece because I didn't know how well I'd like the game. I'm typically like the last person to get into something, and then oftentimes, like I really got into Flesh and Blood, and then everyone was out of Flesh and Blood by the time I liked it, and then yeah, I don't want the same thing to happen with One Piece, but you can't figure out how to open up. Look at him struggle to open up a box. Oh boy.
Tiny box, big hands.
Oh boy. You just go like this. Okay. Don't watch camera. This one's kind of broken. So yeah. So anyway, that's why I played this for this week's One Piece, and this deck was so good out of the deck. But is that the sleeve that's cracked or the card that's cracked? I can't even tell. Did I already ruin a card somehow? Okay, it's the sleeve. Oh. Nope, it's the card. Oh. Card's got a little bit of a, oh well, it's like a 15-cent card. Anyway, yeah, having fun with One Piece. Like I said, we're going to try to play a lot of games. But anyway, it's cool to be renewed with a sense of like wanting to play. I know I'm an old man, but it's quite fun to enjoy games. So breath of fresh air with kind of being a negative Nancy for quite some time with the whole, after you run, as I mentioned, after you run a store, sometimes you just get so worn down with games and sorting and everything that it's like you forgot the whole reason why you started a store to begin with. But anyway, we're going to crush this scrub here and send him home crying, and we'll see you in the next video.